ice for this?
No.
All good. Ready to start questions.
Well, Eli, going into fall camp, what's your message to the offense? What are the things you really want to see in the next 4 weeks?
We just want to see who we are. You know, we want to make sure we do what we believe in on offense, which is control the tempo of the game, and establish a physical downhill run game, throw the ball vertically down the field, and then at the end of the day, execute. You know, every player, every play, execute their job the way they're coached to do it, and if we do that, we'll be fine. But establish who we are.
You obviously got a major project at quarterback to get through. You know, how are you going to handle that with those 4 guys and, you know, divvying up reps and trying to get a good look at all of them?
Well, it's open competition, and we're going to give everybody an opportunity to earn the job, and whoever does the best job moving the offense into the end zone is going to win the position. And you know, got a head coach who's been through this before. You know, 4 of the last 5 years that I've been in college football, we've always entered fall camp with a football with quarterback battle. So we're ready for it. We know what we do. We got a plan, and now we just got to go execute it. There's a lot of people around the country doing the same thing, so it's part of the job.
Haven't been through it that much. What is the key for a guy to get through it and come out on top? What kind of usually separates a guy?
Well, we got 4 requirements that we're going to focus on this fall camp: toughness, preparation, decision making, accuracy, and whoever's the guy, leadership will come. But focus on those things, and then be the steady guy. Who's going to be the steady guy who makes plays and leads the offense.
Is it harder or easier to have so many quarterbacks? Isn't it easier with one when you're going into fall practice than with so many? Yeah,
I mean, obviously, you can gel a little bit quicker when you just have one guy, but it is what it is. A lot of teams around the country are going through this, with quarterback competitions, and so, we'll come together. It's going to be good. There's a lot of reps in fall camp. That's the other thing. There's a lot of reps, so it's good to have a lot of arms and nobody gets too tired. But yeah, sure, you'd like to figure out. I'd like for it to be done, but it isn't, and that's what it is.
How do you see each of them improve the most in the spring?
That's a good question. I was actually talking to Harsh last Friday about it. Really, spring is so long ago. They had all summer to get better, and if they're the same as they were at the end of spring, somebody's passed them up. Because they had all summer running their own practices and running their own stuff and working out. That they got to come in here different than what they were when they left spring. They had 4 months to work on their craft, and that's really what's exciting, is for those guys to come in here and show us what they did on their own and who's ready.
I know you guys have a little different rules than it was a couple of years ago. Have you been able to watch them throw? Have you been able to work on mechanics with them at all over the summer?
No, you're not allowed to do anything with a football or observe anything like that. You are able to be around them in the weight room and do conditioning activities, but nothing football related.
What you're going to see tomorrow versus how much they've improved.
Yeah, it'll be different.
On that note, is there anything going into the summer that you specifically delivered to that group, or anything you specifically wanted them to work on where you felt like they'd obviously get a lot of gain in their game or whatnot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there was things we all talked about. Each one of them had different things that they had to improve on from the spring, and they were identified, individually. As a group, we just, we had to get better. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I don't think that's what you want to write a story about.
How excited for you just to get out there and get practice going with the football and be able to start deciding who the quarterback's going to be and see which plays work and which don't, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, excited and tired of waiting. I've been waiting for the last long time, feels like. So it's time to go, and tomorrow's a starting point. It's not the ending point. It's just a starting point, and no matter how they do tomorrow, the next day they're going to have to improve, and that's our job, is to point out the things that they've got to get better at. So excited. You got to get out there and you got to get going, and before you know it, it'll be on us.
Go through the running backs and their strengths. What do you see?
That's an interesting question, because there's a couple of them I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen Kelsey and I hadn't seen Jeremy since last fall. So, that's another position that's got a good competition. It's wide open, and we're gonna, have to find out their strengths early, and then utilize them. Even Jack missed the last 6 practices or something this spring. So, haven't seen a lot of those guys, and it's going to be important to figure out exactly what they're able to do and do it quickly.
Who's got a tougher battle to get that starting position right now heading into camp? Would you say it'd be the quarterback or be the running back position?
I mean, in my opinion, it's probably the quarterback just because you're going to play with one. You know, tailback, the starter, you know, he'll start, but there's going to be a rotation. There's going to be people coming into play. That quarterback position, usually there's just one guy to take the reps in ideal world.
You got, you know, obviously the 3 wide receivers back were very productive, and Jake Rowe who's very productive. But behind those guys, you know, a lot of talent, but not guys who've proven it. How much do you need to see some of those guys show up in practice and, you know, show they can be playmakers?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. There's a quote that says, well, I thought I had a quote for you, and I kind of lost the first word, but potential doesn't win games, performance does. So, you know, there's a lot of potential, but we got to see these guys perform, and that's why you have fall camp. You know, if you didn't have to see guys perform and work through all these things, and then we'd schedule our first game next Friday. You know, so.
Being the former tight ends coach, how excited are you to see how that group develops and all the talent that you have back there now?
Yeah, it's a strength of our team on offense, no doubt. Coach Ridd's going to have those guys playing at a high level and at a even higher level than they were last year, and you know that allows us to be very multiple on offense, and so absolutely excited about those guys and a lot of depth there, and excited for those guys to compete and push each other.
What did Chase and David kind of bring to the table with that? I know they redshirted last year, but how were they able to take advantage of that redshirt year?
I think just learning the plays, learning the system, understand what it means to be a college football player. David's put on some weight. Chase has put on some muscle mass, and so those guys just developing into who they are and their roles and how they're going to contribute.
You had the summer to kind of evaluate what you did in the spring as an offensive coordinator and think about this fall. What would you learn in terms of where you're at and what you maybe need to work on through camp to get yourself ready for that first game?
Well, it's a good question. Probably don't want to answer that. I don't want anybody to find out. There's a lot of things, just self-reflection, things that you know we got to get better at offensively, things I got to get better at. But mostly it's we and what we're doing on offense and how I'm teaching the quarterbacks, and just there's a lot of reflection. And you know the good thing is this isn't the first time Coach Harsh and I have worked together, so there is a familiarity. You know, we're on the same page on a lot of things and can anticipate, what the other person's thinking. So.
What do you, with the offensive line, Coach told us about Eli Nicola, how does that change things? I know Archie's there too, but how do you look at the line and those guys coming back, and I guess the depth you have there, and also how nice is it when you're trying to get a quarterback and running back figured out that you do have some returning guys on the line? Yeah, it's always good to have an offensive line that you can lean on, and guys with game experience. There's nothing more valuable than game experience. Hopefully we can rely on them early to establish a run game and get ourselves going, and that'll let the quarterback, settle into the position. Archie played a lot for us last year, played a lot for us in the fall or in the spring too, just because of injuries and all that. So he's got a lot of reps, and I know Coach Huff has done a great job developing him, and I don't really get all worried about the offensive line. Coach Huff's the best offensive line coach, around, and I know he's got those guys ready to roll.
One more, fellas. I know you obviously had experience as an OC down at Arkansas State, but at the same time, how do you? And
Springdale High School.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How do you anticipate? Will the grind be any different from here until the end of December or early January or whenever it might end? And going into fall camp, does it feel like there's more on your plate just because you're not worried about a position, you're worried about number of them, obviously.
The long and short of it is absolutely there's stress on it, and there's a standard of play that Boise State's offenses have had for a long time, and so you got to meet that standard, and there's pressure to get that done, and the grind it takes what it takes to be successful, and whether or not that's staying up here till midnight or whatever, it takes what it takes to be ready, and whatever it takes for us to be ready on offense is what we're going to do as a coaching staff and as an offense. And so I don't know if it's all-nighters and all that. I don't get caught up into it. I just know if takes being up here, it takes being up here. If your work's done, your work's done. But we're ready to meet the challenge, and it's going to be a challenge. It's never goes the way you think it's going to go. And so, the thing I encourage our coaching staff on offense and our players is just be prepared to meet any challenge, and that's what we're going to do.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to do this, but the meeting is going to be in here at 4, so we've got about 7 minutes with Marcel.